So, of your 16 teams in the AFC, the number one team, according to ESPN, with an 81% chance to make the playoffs would be the Buffalo Bills. Wow, over top of Kansas City. I guess I kind of took that for granted. Kansas City 76%, Baltimore 76%, and the Chargers at 60. Then we start dropping down a little bit, blah, blah, blah. Your New England Patriots are 12th out of 16 with, according to their analytics, and their Breslow machines. The ESPN people have them at a 32% chance of making the playoffs. 12th out of 16 total. So that's technically less than a third, third of the way to 100 there. 32% chance to make the playoffs this year, which kind of flies in the face of a lot of the national and local media optimism of 10-7, 11-6, 12-5, which, those numbers still seem wild to me as well. So Ted, that seems kind of on par. That seems fair to you, even though massive roster turnover, like we said, great offseason and free agency, like Dan said, great draft, and of course, third easiest schedule in the NFL.
But they needed to churn this roster. It was a terrible roster.
Yeah.
43% of it's new, and my guess is, there's only 53 guys on the active roster, so it's going to be more than 2/3 of the team at the end of the day. I think that it's going to be still standing when the dust settles right before week 1 of this season. But they upgraded probably 5-6 starters just on defense via their free agency signings. That's huge. They've upgraded their left tackle with the 4th overall pick in Will Campbell, which was huge. They've upgraded what was the worst wide receiver group in the NFL by bringing in Steph Diggs. And so we like to think that Drake May is going to have better, more quality coaching than he had last year. And so people that study football, that report on football, that their job is to give opinions on football, see this in a more optimistic way because of all those reasons. And you also look at, there's past history tells you, what did the 2001 Patriots do the year before? What did the 1999 St. Louis Rams do the year before 1990? Their teams go from being the worst to being the best all the time in this league. It's not the craziest thing in the world. So to suggest they can go from 4 wins to 10 wins that I'm suggesting, honestly, isn't the craziest idea. The Commanders last year had a new coach. They brought in 10 starters, basically via free agency, and they drafted a quarterback that is an elite quarterback. And you saw what happened to them. It's not the craziest thing to think that the Patriots can have a big bounce back year when you factor all those things in.
No, I completely agree. And I think your difference between where you guys sit at 10 and where I would sit at 8 and 9 is that quarterback position that you're talking about. And
it is.
If you're going to tell me that Drake May is what Jaden Daniels was, absolutely sign up for 10 wins, a playoff spot, and a really intriguing 2025. I'm just going to need to see it before I adjust and give them those 2 extra wins, because, Fitzy, I think your defensive additions and the fact that you added veterans raises your floor 2 to 3 wins automatically. I think your 6 to 7 win spot just with your defense and your coaching changes at minimum are great. Then if your offense gels and your quarterback starts to perform, which are the questions that I think we outlined last week as being the biggest ones to worry about, that's where all of a sudden 7 becomes 8, becomes 9, becomes 10, and we start talking about games in January.
Okay, so Ted, this is actually a great point, bringing up both the 2000 Patriots and then the 1998 Rams. Of course, everyone knows the 2000 Patriots, 5-11, and a grueling 5-11 it was. There were rumblings about Belichick being on the hot seat just a couple games in to his second year as head coach. Before we get into the Rams and stuff, do you remember hearing any of that hubbub? Like, whoa, how are you feeling coming out of 2000 heading into 2001 with Bledsoe on the big deal, Belichick on the hot seat, and the media kind of wondering what the hell was going on?
That was not a popular hire. Bill was not a popular hire. I remember that like it was yesterday, just because of how it ended, I guess, in Cleveland, and how it ended maybe in New York too. So there was a lot of questions about him. And then only having 5 wins in 2000. And I'll be honest, Drew was in just kind of a lot of interceptions, and it was not the synergy between the head coach and the quarterback was not there. So we were we were not feeling very good about ourselves when it came to the start of the 0-2. We started the 0-1 season 0-2, and so we were off to a bad start. And I'll never forget a conversation I had with RKK. He comes up to me on the sideline, and I asked him how he's doing, and he's, not good. And he points to the new stadium that was being built next to our practice fields. And he basically said, not a lot of people are signing up for season tickets. And then horseshoe up his ass, because we go on to win the Super Bowl and then become a dynasty, and now there was a waiting list for season tickets. So you talk about, I'll never forget that conversation I had with how it just turned so fast. But at that point, no one was feeling good about the future of the franchise until TB12 stepped on the field and we saw all that change.
If you don't get the
tickets that year, Ted, you guys were a grind to watch until you guys were awesome to watch.
I hear you, brother. Sorry about that.
If you don't get the quarterback play there, what is that season for the Patriots?
I don't think it's good, buddy.
Okay.
I don't.
Is it still competitive though?
Because of the defense we had.
Okay.
I think it would have been. And the offense just, you know what? We needed to win a lot of close games with the team we had. The margin for error was not great. And unfortunately, the strength of Drew wasn't always necessarily late minute game. He's had some comeback wins, but managing the clock, making good decisions, being safe with the ball. Drew was like, I can fit it in there. And there was a lot of where Tom was, let's just take what they give us and let's just manage the clock. And that is what we needed at that position at that time, considering the personnel we had on offense and the personnel we had on defense.
1994, Drew Bledsoe, who led comebacks like the one against the Minnesota Vikings with 70 pass attempts and the game winner to Kevin Turner, was a hell of a lot different than 2001 Drew Bledsoe, who had taken quite a beating and had many more miles on those tires. And Ted, I think the point of the 1998 St. Louis Rams into the 1998 Rams is an awesome
the 99 Rams,
98 to the 99 Rams is a great one, because the 1998 Rams still had Ricky Prohl, Isaac Bruce, Azahir Hakeem on the roster. They went 4-12. They were not very good. Then the next year, they absolutely ripped through the NFL all the way to being one of the greatest offenses of all time in winning one of the most thrilling Super Bowls of all time as well. And to your point of the Commanders, who a lot of people want to compare or at least hold as a comp for what they hope these New England Patriots can do in 2025 to last year's Commanders. You mentioned, Ted, 10 new starters on offense, bringing a whole bunch. Adam Peters does a great job.
Offense and defense, just overall,
But let's take a look real fast. I mean, you're talking on defense: Carlton Davis, Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane. You've got then on offense, you've got Will Campbell, Garrett Bradbury. You've got Morgan Moses, likely Steph Diggs, possibly a new starter at running back as well. You could be looking at via free agency and draft anywhere between 8 to 11 new starters on the New England Patriots as well, which, Dan, mathematically lines up with the whole 50% roster turnover. So, again, don't squash that dream. I don't want to play the part of the kid from the Banshees of Inisherin. Well, there goes that dream. It's not over yet. They haven't even kicked off freaking camp yet. Why not think that this team can turn things around and have better than a 32% chance to make the playoffs?
I would just with that number, it was such a large number to read Mike Reese put in terms of the roster turnover. That's why I would advocate just be patient with this group in September. I know people are looking just pure matchup based and saying, "Oh, that's a 3-1 record before you get in and face the Bills." I would advocate for a little bit more patience with this group in September because of that turnover. Because Ted, those are so many moving parts that Fitzy just outlined to then try to gel by week one with teams who also view the Patriots as having a 32% chance of making the playoffs. Teams that also view the Patriots right now as a win on their schedule because of what they've done in past years. So I'm a little more hesitant to go as heavy into my expectations early, but I think get out of that stretch of games, at 500 and maybe get through that Bills game and then you go. I think that's where we start to see some of the potential of this group.
If this team just, hovered around 500, unlike the Celtics or unlike the Red Sox, when they hover around 500, you want to pull your hair out.
Right.
But this team, I think, just kind of hang around 500, with 6 games left in the season.
Yeah, exactly.
5 games left in the season. And And hopefully, to me, the mark of a good team is a team that steadily improves as the season goes on, which I've always said that Gerard Mayo would still be the coach here. If he won his last 4 games, he didn't win a game all the way up until the last 4 weeks of the season, and he went reeled off 4 in a row, he'd probably still be the coach.
Right.
It's about how you play at the end of the season that, to me, matters. And so I feel like this team will, with the quality of the coaching, will get better as the season goes on. So just, I hear what you're saying. In my just little rough kind of start, I see them going 3-1, and I look at, okay, Vegas has got, I know they got a new head coach, they got a new quarterback. Miami, I think they're taking a step back. There's a lot of issues there. Tyreek Hill, they just traded away Jalen Ramsey. The Steelers with Aaron Rodgers, come on, and then Carolina. So, but you give me 2-2 out of that start, I'll take that all day. And just give me 500 ball for most of the season, and then look, can we get a strong finish to get to the 10 wins that I'm hoping that they get to?
I will also add that going from 98 to 99 with the St. Louis Rams, going from Amp Lee and June Henley at running back and Tony Banks and Steve Bono at quarterback to Marshall Falk and Kurt Warner, slight upgrade.
Right.
Just a little bit of an upgrade. Just a little bit. 617-779-7937 to text into the program or give us a call like Joe in Melrose who wants to talk some of the Vegas odds on your Patriots. How are you, Joe?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Yeah, I think the optimism around the Patriots is because Vegas has favored them in 11 of 17 games. It's such a quarterbacks league, and I was playing golf with this Buffalo Bills fan. He pointed out to me that Buffalo is favored in all 17 of their games, and Kansas City is favored in 16 of the games. The only game Kansas City is an underdog is when they have to go play at Buffalo. So it's like right now Patrick Mahomes is like the Tom Brady of this era, and Josh Allen is like the Peyton Manning of this era. So the thing is, the Patriots are favored in 11 games because of Drake May. It's that's the reason. Everyone thinks he's going to take a huge step forward this season.
Thank you, Joe. Always appreciate the call. Do you think it's Do you think it's just Drake May? I like the comps regarding Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, but do you think it's just? I think it's more than just Drake May. I think it's I would say it's Vrabel and then May and McDaniels that has Vegas confident enough to put Pats.
I think that's right, and. That's interesting. Joe says there's 11 games that they're favored in, and we all remember how many they were favored in the beginning of the season last year, right?
Yeah.
0.
And it's so 1. Or was it 0 or was it 1? Okay, 0. I thought maybe 1. So 0. So, I don't know. You get, mad at me for being optimistic, but the Vegas has them winning, favored in 11 games when they had them favored for none last year. So they're the ones that are being overly optimistic. But I just do think it is the belief in Vrabel, just like you just said, and the fact that Josh McDaniels is here with Drake May. A lot of guys that cover football see the special traits of Drake May, but I think I was listening to you guys yesterday, and it was, basically I think you guys were having a discussion on what ultimately is Drake May going to be judged on, and I think you guys were right on. It really is going to come down to, did he win the football game or not?
Yeah.
Not how many yards, not how many touchdowns he threw, not what was his percentage on third down. Did he win the game? And look, I gave him a lot of slack last year, and I overlooked the fact that he was 1-9. I will not do that this year. This year he will be judged more critically, in my opinion, on wins and losses.
I would love to, Fitzy, be able to come away from a full season because it's clear your defense is probably going to hold you in a lot of games as Drake kind of figures things out in year 2 and now year 1 under McDaniels and another year with a new offensive coordinator, whatever. I would love to come away from at least a couple of games and go, wow, Drake bailed the defense out in that game. Drake balled out to the point where our defense didn't have to hold you under 20 points or hold you to 2 scores or whatever it is. If he can do that a couple of times where I'm winning the game as the Patriots because of my quarterback, that's a huge step forward for me.
Real quick, Fitzy, I got to get this in. That's a great point, Dan. There's how many times last year, right before halftime, you go, okay, they got about a minute and a half and one timeout, and they run the ball on first down.
Right.
And we're all like, what the hell? They're basically pissing away an opportunity to score before halftime.
Just kneel it down if you're going to do that. Just give it to them.
They didn't treat and Tom Brady would have treated 1 second of time as an opportunity to stage a comeback and win a game.
Hey, John Madden will tell you that. Oh,
Yep.
that's take a knee here, John. Wrong call, John. But you know who's the best at coaching the 2-minute drill? Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniels is a genius when it comes to that one specific situation. Tom Brady was a genius. You know who looked like a genius? Was Mac Jones running the 2-minute. It was.
Do you remember how hype we all were, Ted, in the summer of 2021?
In preseason games when he's running the 2-minute? Yeah.
I remember the Philadelphia game especially. It was a super hot and humid summer night.
Always.
Mac Jones came in against Philadelphia, and in the second half, Josh McDaniels just let him run
huddle,
2-minute drill.
Just
he
2-minute
looked
drill.
awesome.
So my point is that to me, that one thing, if Drake May gets better coaching in the 2-minute drill, they would have won 2 or 3 more games more last year than they did, I think.